The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day. That's right, because it's Thursday, November 14th, and today is National Seatbelt Day, Dale. So buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride today.
Yeah. Free coupon ride.
Free coupons. Love me some coupons. Keep my scissors ready. It's also National Family PJ Day. Stone, I can totally see your family celebrating this.
I'm in PJs right now.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. It's also National Spicy Guacamole Day. Shout out to avocados.
Let's go.
Yes. And it's also National Pickle Day because everyone loves a pickle. Are you with us, Jenny?
Pickle for a nickel.
Right. Is Jenny with us? Not yet.
Speaking of pickle.
She's in a pickle. She's in a pickle. Well, thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above or down below on your screen to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And I guess, Dale, I can start this off, or if you want to start it off, whatever you want to do, Dale.
Hey, you let me know. I'm tap dancing today. We'll cover this and let me know. What do you want to do?
All right. Well, we're gonna start. I'll start it off. Rico unfortunately is sick today, so we wish him well. The whole family's not feeling well. So we wish the whole family. Hope they all feel better soon. And so I'm going to read his story, his choice of his story of what he was going to share with us today, and then we'll start off with that. And because it's a very.
Can I say something?
Oh yeah, sure.
Jason?
What would you like to say, Stone?
I just wanted to say the longest running retail operator in the history of cannabis and the highest Republican in America, Jason, is the president of Cannabis Tourism West Hollywood, and he enjoys smoking the best weed in the world. Coming up next, Jason Beck.
Oh, thank you so much, Stone Slade. That was fantastic, bro. We're gonna have to have you do that more often.
Partially true, Jason. Good morning.
That was all 100% true, Jenny Beth. Every single part of it was true.
Bio needs to be updated.
Yeah, whatever. 100% of it is true, but nonetheless, nonetheless, you guys, man, because RFK Jr. That's right. The wellness guru says he found his calling to make America healthy again on a shroom trip, you guys, and there were no bears that were harmed in this shroom trip, to my understanding as well.
Oh, boy.
This says, in between running for president, having an affair with a journalist, and defending himself against a wave of dead animal scandals, RFK Jr. has vowed to make America healthy again. One of his chief inspirations for doing that is a wellness influencer who apparently felt called to spread the gospel of health after tripping balls on some psilocybin mushrooms, you guys. That's right. The Wall Street Journal writes that Callie Means and his sister, Dr. Casey Means, a surgeon, are the wellness gurus from whom Kennedy had sourced much of his new age health philosophy. The newspaper calls the siblings top advisors to Kennedy and notes that their book, Good Energy, has been circulated amongst Trump's inner circle. Prior to becoming a health influencer, Means ironically worked as a lobbyist for the food industry, and his LinkedIn profile, he also spent brief stints at Booz Allen Hamilton, this shadowy deep state contractor, and the Heritage Foundation, the right-wing think tank behind Project 2025 that makes all the craziness go around. And Means claims he awoke from his corporate slumber after tripping on shrooms. The paper notes that the former lobbyist had a vision of dedicating his life to reforming healthcare after a high dose of the psychedelic drug psilocybin, you guys. Man, oh man, oh man. Michelle Obama was right, to some degree. Means admitted during a recent interview with the Journal. By that, Means appears to be saying that Obama's program to make school lunches healthier was in fact a good idea. This is an agenda, you recall, that was broadly desired by conservatives. Indeed, during his first term, Trump rolled back guidelines that Michelle Obama had put in place to heighten nutrition standards for national school lunches, because in Trump's eyes, healthy children are too much of a bureaucratic cross to bear, it says. The Means siblings have cruised the usual circuit of alt media programming, including the podcasts of Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, and as admitted conservatives pursuing a pro-health, anti-corporatist agenda, they represent an odd ideological juncture that offers a weird hodgepodge of good and maybe not so good ideas. Similarly, Kennedy has often brought derision upon himself by being the mouthpiece for numerous health-related conspiracy theories, most notably his indulgence of the anti-vax crowd. And though not all of his ideas are entirely stupid, Americans should eat healthier, it's true, championed by some progressive activists for years, you guys. That said, the real problem for Kennedy is that it seems highly unlikely Trump will ever let him do anything that legitimately threatens the interest of pharmaceutical companies or the private healthcare industry. After all, Trump's first administration was in bed with snack and corn syrup lobbyists, and the former president is a well-known fast food fanatic who held an actual McDonald's banquet inside the West Wing. I don't understand why they're trying to...
There.
Yeah, he did work there. That's right. You are right, Jenny. He did work there longer than Kamala did. And during a recent podcast appearance involving Means, Kennedy even admitted that he found Trump's fat-filled dietary habits, which he was exposed to during the campaign, to be really like bad, in quotes. Time will tell whether Kennedy is given an appointment in Trump's administration at all. So far, Trump has largely betrayed those voters who assumed he would drain the swamp. Instead, he's picked a cabinet full of Washington, D. insiders, many of whom seem to signal a presidency that will have little to do with Trump's campaign promises. Maybe, if nothing else, Kennedy can be Trump's personal trainer. Oh, this is a funny piece that Rico, of course, Rico would have picked this article. But yeah, of course Rico would have picked this freaking article, but whatever.
I just love hearing this come from you, Jason.
I'm sure you get a kick out of that. But first of all, Kennedy is going to be the director of HHS, the Health and Human Services Department, and he is going to be in charge of MAHA, which is Making America Healthy Again. So I have to say kudos to this, and I don't know why they're trying to downplay the role that Kennedy is going to play, or trying to make it seem like he's not going to get appointed to this, but that's just crazy ridiculousness, poppycock to me. But nonetheless, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Medical establishment has opened itself up to so much criticism. Mm-hmm. It's just unbelievable. I was pursuing a career in medicine back in the 1970s, and I was in the Navy as a corpsman when Nixon signed the Health Maintenance Act for his buddy Henry Kaiser. Mm-hmm. And medicine shifted from independent physicians thinking for themselves to corporate-controlled purveyors of pharmaceuticals.
Yep.
And it's been hard to watch. I mean, I've been married since 1985 to a physician. Both her parents are physicians. We've been inside the medical community. And right now, I've got a serious hard-on for the medical establishment. They are so full of shit in so many directions. It's hard to watch. I fight with physicians all the time, and I call them out. You don't have a hair on your ass because you're afraid of the DEA. Federal government controls medicine. You can only prescribe what they tell you can prescribe. To give people a healthy nutraceutical approach to health, it's counteracted by take this pill, it'll solve your problems.
Yeah.
That's where we are right now. Okay. And the fact that no physician can talk to you about microdosing psychedelics as an alternative to psychotropic antidepressants, it's just hard to watch. So many of us have found that's helpful. I mean, the veterans I work with, they treat their PTSD that way. But you can't tell your treating doctor because their butthole puckers up and they're afraid to talk to you about this. You can't get pain medicine anymore out of a physician because the DEA said, oh no, we don't want you doing this, so the doctors won't do it. And I'm angry at the medical profession right now because they are lapdogs to the pharmaceutical industries and to the corporate interest who make all the money off of medicine while we're out there begging for someone to listen to us and do something. Well, I understand the anger and animosity out there because I'm a hemophiliac. I have chronic pain. I have all sorts of issues like that. And I go to the doctor and they go, well, we can't do that. What the fuck you mean you can't do that? You can't treat me the way you've treated me for the last 30 or 40 years. So you're afraid of the government. And so, Molly, they attacked Molly by taking away her DEA registration.
Yeah.
You can't prescribe controlled substances without that.
Exactly.
Okay? And you told them to go fuck yourself because I don't need it to recommend marijuana. And that just redoubled their efforts to take us out. Okay. So I've had these battles with, I recognize there are so many problems going back when Rockefeller took control of medicine and pushed pharmaceuticals at the end of the 19th century. Read it. There's a report called the Flexner Report, where he outlined where medicine was before, during, and after. Molly's grandfather was part of this. Okay.
Wow.
And so within the family, we understand. He was one of the founders of the internal medicine group back in the early part of the 20th century. Okay. And so he was not afraid, to tell whoever was telling him, go fuck yourself. I'm an independent physician. I'll do what I want to do. You can't do that today. So to a certain extent, the apple cart needs to be overturned. And after the COVID disaster, where we agreed to allow the medical community come in and tell government what to do, shut it all down, they wouldn't listen to, that's impractical. You can't do it. Target things. Nope, we're going to shut it all down. And we all went, you guys fuck this up royally.
Yep.
And we're still pissed off about it because, an entire group of children lost a year of education and they're behind and they never should have had it happen.
Exactly.
Okay, now, the problem is there's a lot of people out there that think they understand how to fix this and they're just full of shit. So we'll see where that line is. People have accused Kennedy of being, kind of full of shit. The bureaucracies are going to have, the mandate from the public was go in and overturn the apple cart of these bureaucracies. They're too powerful. There's too many special interests involved. So now let's see if they can do that.
Yep. Well, they're planning on doing it. I can't wait to watch all this all unfold. We're gonna have a first row seat, you guys, to all of this action. And I think Kennedy is gonna do fantastic at this spot. And I can't wait to see what he does with revamping the FDA and all kinds of stuff. I'm so excited to see what Kennedy does. And conspiracy theorists have been right 9 times out of 10. So all the people that want to say that Kennedy is a conspiracy theorist on this, you know what? 9 out of 10 times he's probably right about all of these things. So that's. Any thoughts on this, Stone?
We'll wait and see. He's got a lot of good ideas. He's got a lot of wacky ideas. He's a interesting dude, but like Dale said, the Big Pharma has way too much control of our medical system in this country, and it's ridiculous. They have way too much control on what the doctors are going to help us with or not. Look at the way they've treated cannabis all these years. Rico wants you to read your text. I'm assuming it may have something to do with the story.
Rico sent me a text. Oh, shit.
Rico should have joined in on the show to get his comment turned live on air, or he could super chat it.
Okay, so Rico says in the text, he says, please let the audience know I was taking RFK Jr.'s side on this story. I think coming up with the idea on a mushroom trip was a good thing, and I was not a positive supporter of this article, and think it was doing the alternative medicine movement a disservice, and his ideas should be given a chance before judgment, and a way better choice for the HHS and FDA than the status quo. I totally agree with you 100% on that, Rico. I'm with you on that. I wish I would have heard what your whole spin on that would have been, because I'll tell you what, you definitely picked a wacky article today, Rico, and hope you and the family all feel better. And we did get a super chat in from the C Word, who says, I want a president with ass, yo. Shout out to the C Word, man. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
First of all,
I'm not mad at that.
Somebody asking you what you do, and you're like, I lobby for big corn syrup. Like, what?
I mean, those people get paid fucking great money. Okay.
Corn syrup lobbyists.
Corn syrup. That's really like Cargill and people like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the corn syrup in our food supply has been the source of so much ill health.
It is so right, Dale. So right.
Our liver converts fructose into fat. Mm-hmm. When you do high fructose, what happens? Your ass and your belly just keep expanding.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you've got diabetes. And you look at, okay, how do we fix the diabetes crisis? Mm-hmm. Not give them a pill or Wegovy. Okay, tell them, put on your big boy or big girl pants and stop shoving that shit in your face.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody wants to hear that, but that's the advice that needs to be given. It needs to be backed up by the medical establishment. Mm-hmm. Okay? But the corporate interests don't want them to say that, so the doctors don't push that. A pharmaceutical say, "Oh, take Wegovy."
Yeah.
Let's put you on metformin, and rather than saying, stop shoving that shit in your mouth, you fat ass. Stop it.
Yeah, stop putting it in your mouth.
Yeah. The message is not out there. So a lot of us are just really pissed off at the direction. There's so many people involved in medicine that don't do one goddamn thing for your health, but just take all the cream of the profits off the top. We're tired of that too. Mark Cuban went around him and he said all these people involved in the farmers clinic, they don't do shit. They just make money. Okay. Let's get pharmaceutical people at affordable prices, okay, and give them some choices here, and the industry's up in arms. Well, yeah, give Mark Cuban some kudos. He figured out how to fuck up their mojo and stop them. Let's see how it goes.
I mean, Mark Cuban, though, is such a hypocrite, bro. Such a hypocrite.
Okay. A lot of people are hypocrites. Okay,
that's fair.
Everybody's a hypocrite.
He's a really big hypocrite. I mean, because I've had meetings with him at the Trump International Hotel when Trump was the president. I got pictures with him and everything, and just to watch him during this whole campaign season was just like so ridiculous to me. But
oh boy.
Nonetheless,
you just don't like him because he's anti-Trump. Come on now.
Sounds like we have a commercial to get to, Jason.
I was just gonna ask you, Jenny Beth, if you had any final thoughts on this RFK making America healthy again.
I just want to know if this was before or after the brainworm.
Oh man! And on that, we're gonna go to a commercial, and we're gonna be right back.
Oh man, that was weird. Hey, you America. Do I look like Sean Connery?
Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
Well, he had upset stomach again and shit all over the floor.
What?
I think he shit all over the floor next to he had upset tummy.
Again? Oh man.
Yes.
Jenny Beth is having a rough morning, you guys. A rough.
Dog shit on the floor.
Man, it's a shitty situation, Jenny Beth. Very shitty situation.
Oh, I missed the dog part. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's who let the dogs out, literally, Stone. All right. We're gonna roll into Dale's story, and then I'll do my second story, and we'll sandwich it in. Jenny's gonna end up having 2 stories today. We were supposed to have Jesse Barney with his return back to High at Night News today. So,
yeah, but he's our Monday guy.
Yeah, I don't know where he's in. But he will be. He's supposed to be on tomorrow. So hopefully we'll figure it out and get him on here. He'll be on here on Mondays and Fridays.
What do I have next, Jason?
Going home. We are going to roll right into attorney Mr. Dale Schafer. Did you want to introduce Dale, Jenny?
He's the founder of our model law, and once upon a time did some time for cannabis crime. Mr. Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. It's your favorite Tio Loco. I'm on one this morning because get me started on the medical profession, and I just lose my shit.
We love it, Dale.
Now, my story today comes out of MJ Biz Daily. It was from yesterday. And the headline is Struggling Small Cannabis Farmers File Lawsuit Against New York Regulators. Okay? And this story caught my eye because it's an opportunity to introduce people to a subject, a lawsuit beginning, and let's see where this goes, because this is a problem in many jurisdictions. Now, a lawsuit was filed against the regulators in New York because their plan did not put enough retailers in position to satisfy the production of the farmers, making it, in their eyes, impossible for them to survive because there isn't enough places for us to put the production, which means the price of the product falls and the margins are too small to be able to effectively survive. Now, just as a preliminary, you've heard that, a prosecutor can indict a ham sandwich. Anybody with a filing fee and a piece of paper that looks to the clerk like it's satisfactory can file a lawsuit. Well, filing a lawsuit doesn't mean shit to me, okay? Because what's the lawsuit going to produce? So we'll follow this as it goes through. But just as an overview, when California got started, we adopted New York law here in California. So the DNA in California for our constitution and laws is based on New York law. So I'm sure we're going to see some similarities. I don't hold myself as an expert on the New York Constitution or the and what we call the enabling statutes that enable these regulators to put these regulations together. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that I'm an expert on that, but I have been standing by where I live here in California, and a group of cultivators filed a suit against the county pushing their agenda, okay? And the suit ended up being settled for something that wasn't even a Pyrrhic victory. Okay? So when all the dust settled, they got diddly squat out of their lawsuit. And as a general statement, states have the authority over what traditional police powers, health, safety, and welfare of their citizens. And cannabis brings them all in, health, safety, and welfare. So these laws are traditionally within the bailiwick of state authority. And even local jurisdictions have authority over their local health, safety, and welfare. And where that line gets drawn, that you've stepped over your authority, we're going to get a chance to find out. Because here in California, baked into our Constitution is local control. And if you haven't heard us bitch and moan about this before, local control is at the heart of our major cannabis problems in the state. Jurisdictions don't want to do it, so we've managed to get around it by sending deliveries into different jurisdictions that are against it. They can't stop that. They don't allow retailers. They don't allow cultivators. So a lot of our state doesn't have cannabis access, legal cannabis. Now, the problem is, and I've pissed and moaned about this a lot, is that the trap or the black market is out there. They are for real. And if you don't make this easy enough for legal cannabis businesses to survive, the trap just smiles all the way to where they bury their money. Mm-hmm. That's the problem we face here. Okay? And New York, I'm interested to see, and we'll follow this because I'll bring it back up as it goes along, when I get a chance to read the complaint and see what the answer is to the complaint, whether it survives challenges in the court. We call them demurs. There's no legal grounds to do this. We'll get a chance to see. The sentiment, I fully understand. The regulators for cannabis are some of the worst regulators in our nation. They could literally fuck up a wet dream. give them a chance to do something here, and they're going to take the worst possible options for our industry. We're watching it every day. They don't really want to understand the margins are too small. The black market is too large for you not to be on the side of these cannabis businesses. Well, I'm anxious to see where this goes, but this is just a problem we see across the entire nation. Treating cannabis like it's, uranium. And we have to be so careful about it. Oh, the children, fuck you. Your kids can go buy weed around the corner right now. Okay? So if we're so concerned about our children, what are we doing about that? And no one wants to listen to the pure business approach to this. Let everybody have the license they want. Have reasonable regulations. If you can't make it as a business owner, that's what every other entrepreneur faces. Get out of the way. Let the market do this, and the black market will wither on the vine. Nobody wants to listen to that. They all want to have their little power positions, and we're in control of all this. In the meantime, the trap's just laughing their ass off. Okay? So I'm going to throw this back at you, because this is something we could chew on for hours. We're going to have to bring it to an end at some point, but I'm interested in hearing what you all think about this.
Man, go for it, Jenny.
No, you go for it, Jason.
I was going to say, man, I support these people with this lawsuit, because New York has botched this from a regulatory perspective every single step of the way, to where even the regulators in New Jersey got into a Twitter war with the New York regulators on how bad of a job these people in New York did. I mean, so nothing surprises me, you know what I mean? Like in regards with this at all. And I hope ultimately that they don't get put in some type of kangaroo court, because we know it's involving the state of New York, and we know how prejudicial they are in regards to their judgments and prosecutorial type of statuses and whatnot. And so ultimately, I hope that these people get a true, fair trial, and I think ultimately they will become victorious in this, and I wish them all the best. I'm so excited to see this happening, because there needs to be some real government accountability, and right now there is nothing like that in New York.
Check. One of the problems is that exhaustion of it, what we call exhaustion of administrative remedies.
We hear you,
Force
Jesse.
you to go through all the kangaroo courts in the administrative law system, where the deck is stacked against you, before you can actually go to a real court and get a real judge to issue an injunction to tell the state to stop it. I'm hoping they can avoid that, but like I said, we're going to watch this, and I'll be happy to give my perspective on where this is going from a litigator. I've had more cases than I want to remember, and I've been frustrated more times than I can remember with the goddamn administrative law system, and that's one of the reasons why I think Trump got the baton. Because he's taking a look at this administrative law system, these regulatory agencies, and going, this is not workable. We got to stop this shit.
We covered this during the whole thing. What New York did to those farmers is ridiculous. All those guys were ready to go into action, and had to sit on all their crops as their crops went bad and got moldy. Like, it's wrong. And like you said, Dale, the more mucky the regulators make it, the easier they make it for the trap. But it makes you pose the question, like, do they really care? They're collecting money from these legal guys that are going out of business, and does it matter to them? They're making money. The trap's making money.
I think them holding on to the crops is probably that sucks, right? But the way that they selected farmers, right? Like, you had to have been growing
the hemp license. That was stupid.
Like, listen, just because I can sow a bunch of hemp seed and grow a bunch of things that are great for fiber, and maybe somebody somewhere can extract it for a little bit of CBD content, does not mean that I have the qualifications that it takes to grow medicinal grade cannabis. It absolutely doesn't. So I think that they were ass backwards in the entire way that they started this program. Like, if you could throw an entire state in the trash and try again, New York would be on the top of my list.
Fair enough.
California's right behind him. Prop 64 was a disaster.
Absolutely, and that's why I yelled about Amendment 3, because look, we haven't done a damn thing to fix Prop 64. We don't even know where to begin to address it, and that's why we have problems when we start regulating these markets in the wrong way. They say, look, no, we've given you cannabis. You guys voted for cannabis. Here it is. Like your fucking kick rocks. And we don't ever get meaningful regulations and meaningful legislation that fixes these problems, because, well, we have legislation now, so deal with it.
I still hear those New York guys at the very beginning how they were going to show California how it's done.
Well, I will say this. If you are a company looking to get into the New York market, I can definitely help you out. So definitely reach out because we do have some resources available to help people enter the licensed New York market. So yes. So make sure that you reach out because we are here to help and be assistance to our community. And look at that. We got the return of Jesse Barney back with us. Jesse, how are you doing today, Jesse?
Fabulous, even though I just woke up like 10 minutes ago and I forgot I was supposed to fill in this morning, but hi.
Yeah, well, don't worry, Jesse, because we got a lot of action going on today, and I'm gonna roll into my next story. I can't wait.
I got him off the shelf early this morning. Here's Jason Beck, the highest Republican, my best friend, and I sometimes want to push him down with his second story of the show today.
Mm-hmm. See, people always want to abuse the disabled. I don't understand why, but you know what I'm saying? But whatever.
It's your pretty face.
You know what you've done.
I know what I've done. I bet. Well, let me tell you what Trump has done, okay? Because this is the best news I think that we could have had. Because Trump taps my guy, that's right, Matt Gaetz, for the Attorney General's office, you guys. That's right. President-elect Trump on Wednesday announced that Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican from Florida, as his pick for Attorney General, an unexpected pick that took many, including fellow House Republicans, by surprise. If confirmed, Gaetz will head up the Justice Department after Trump is sworn in for his second term in January. And Trump first announced his nomination in a post on Truth Social, saying Gaetz has distinguished himself in Congress through his focus on achieving disparity-needed reform at the Department of Justice. And I could not agree with that quote more, you guys. This is fantastic news. Gaetz confirmed the nomination on the social media site X, better known as Twitter, adding in a quote, "It will be an honor to serve as President Trump's Attorney General." In a statement on Truth Social, Trump praised Gaetz for his experience on the House Judiciary Committee, where he said Gaetz played a key role in defeating the Russia hoax and exposing what Trump described as an alarming and systematic government corruption and weaponization. Yes, he did. He is a champion for the Constitution and the rule of law, he added, and Gaetz graduated from William and Mary College of Law and passed the Florida bar exam back in 2008. News of his appointment was met with a certain level of shock from House lawmakers, and Gaetz, a longtime Trump ally, had been under investigation by the House Ethics Committee, which subpoenaed him as recently as September for an ongoing investigation into alleged sexual misconduct, which is total bullshit, with a minor. Gaetz is responsible, told the panel he would, in quotes, no longer voluntarily participate in their probe. And in an additional quote, he says, "I explicitly reserve all of my rights pursuant to the House rules and the U.S. Constitution," he wrote in the letter, which was shared on social media. It is unlikely that the investigation itself would block Gaetz' path to confirmation in Republican majority Senate, though it could make it more difficult. Representative Michael Guest, a Republican from Mississippi who chairs the House Ethics Committee, told Fox News Digital that their investigation would cease as soon as Gaetz leaves the House. And in a quote, "Once a member is no longer a member of Congress, then ethics has no jurisdiction," he says. And Guest also added in a quote, "Look, I have great trust in President Trump and those people that he will surround himself with and put in his cabinet. So I am sure that Trump and his transition team have taken into consideration all the good and bad surrounding everyone, one of the candidates that they're looking at appointing, and so I do not question President Trump's appointment at all," end quote. And still, Guest said that the House Ethics Committee would not ramp up the pace of their investigation in light of Gaetz' nomination. In a quote, says, "No, we're not going to do anything to expedite this," he told Fox News. And early contenders for the post had included sitting U.S. senators, former Justice Department personnel, and at least one Trump White House advisor from Trump's first term. And in a quote says, "He's going to want someone who he knows, likes, and trusts." Former acting Attorney Attorney General Matt Whitaker, oh, I know Matt, shout out Matt Whitaker, told Fox News about the role last week and says he's going to want someone who was there from the beginning, he says, end quote. So congratulations, my guy, Mr. Matt Gaetz, who's going to be our next Attorney General. And this is a huge, huge, huge win for the cannabis industry. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
I'm just really excited to be the first U.S. compliance consultant. That's going to be great, Jason.
Man, I cannot wait for him to just have consequences, guys. Okay.
Yeah, they do.
This is one of the consequences. And it was clear. I mean, I've been a lifelong Democrat. I'm watching this like you guys lost the message, put it in a metaphorical sense. They chose the masculine over the feminine. Okay. And the masculine is, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to kick your ass. Okay. And so here we are. Now, we still have some issues to deal with here about the Congress, especially the Senate. He's going to probably need a recess appointment. So that's one of the first things the Senate's going to have to deal with, is that they're going to suspend the rules and send the Senate out for a minimum 10-day recess so we can do this. And there's grumbling inside the Republican Party already. I don't think it's a done deal. There's also the metaphor of putting the fox in charge of the hen house. Okay? I don't know how that's going to work, because a lot of people that are going to want to influence this have had their tail feathers singed by the DOJ. And I must tell you, I'm sort of pissed off at the DOJ myself, because those motherfuckers threw me in prison for growing some weed and giving it to sick people to send a message, okay? So I don't have any love lost with the DOJ myself. They over-politically prosecute. I was a political prisoner in prison for 5 goddamn years because I dared to tell them to stick it up their ass. They threw me in prison. So I've got some perspectives on this that are not what you would say are traditional Democratic perspectives. But what he hasn't figured out yet is the courts are going to step in. They're going to stop some of this stuff. And then there's going to be battles up the Supreme Court. So I don't, my popcorn is popped. I'm sitting here watching. I've got some unique perspectives because I'm a pretty conservative person myself. And I think some of this shit needs to stop. But how it's going to unfold, I don't know yet.
Jason Beck, do you know where Matt Gaetz went to undergrad?
Where, Jenny Beth?
Florida State University.
That's right. That's your favorite. That's your favorite school. You're always excited whenever they're playing football.
I was the vice president of the Alumni Association for years in Denver. But no, I think I'm excited. I think I'm excited to see what he's going to do for cannabis. I think that we'll have some progress there. And, a lot of people have been accused of things that they haven't done. So we need to keep in mind that you are
not to mention
until proven guilty and not the other fucking way in this country.
100%. Not to mention too.
Not fair.
Not to mention, Jenny Beth, too, there is no accuser that is accusing him of this. These are just all allegations that people are pulling out of thin air. So it's all total bullshit.
Listen, that happens, and that's bullshit. And so
it's all total
until you
bullshit.
have some concrete, verifiable facts, keep your mudslinging to yourself, or throw your pity party in your bedroom and cry in the shower like adults. Get up and go to work. Wipe your ass.
And I'll be straight up. Matt does have some enemies on the Hill. I mean, he is the one that led the ousting of Speaker McCarthy in the House, and the reason that Mike Johnson is the Speaker. And so let's not get it twisted. And there definitely are a whole bunch of rhinos that aren't necessarily Matt's friends in regards to that. But Matt is a true constitutionalist, a true freedom fighter, a patriot, and I'm so happy that he is nominated for this. Like, I'm overwhelmed with joy. This is going to be the best thing for cannabis.
Hot too. A bunch of these ugly curmudgeons are just jealous.
Well, also too,
it's hard being the pretty person.
I get it.
Ask me.
I get it, and I am.
Ask me in Stone. It's hard.
Oh boy. I'm the one that actually got Matt Gaetz onto the platform as far as being for full descheduling of cannabis. Prior to our relationship, he was not on that page, and he is 100% on that page now. And shout out Brian Drombowski, who says in the chat, it says, let's not forget Gaetz was one of the 9 that signed the letter back in 2020, in quotes, DEA provide peace of mind to all Americans who have chosen to pursue a career career in the hemp industry. And I think he's going to be fantastic for the weed industry and the hemp industry, which in essence is all the same. Just one's more regulated than the other, but nonetheless, I think he's going to be a champion for this, and I cannot wait. I am so excited. I was literally on cloud 9 all day yesterday. Like, he couldn't fucking tell me fucking anything bad yesterday. It was fucking great. Jesse, what do you think about this?
I could see you like in the Elf movie saying, "I know him." No, I'm just kidding.
You're so stupid.
Literally.
No, I don't think he's a shoo-in. It's he comes with baggage, and like you said, he's got
everyone comes with baggage
on the GOP.
You wouldn't have a change of clothes if you didn't have baggage, Stone.
Hey, stop it.
Just saying.
As far as cannabis goes, though, and you know the news that came out about what Chris Christie was saying about Trump planning on possibly descheduling, I think the pick goes right hand in hand with that, but I don't think it's a shoo-in, so we'll see.
I think he's a shoo-in. I think there's going to be a lot of posturing, and people are going to say this and that, but ultimately he's going to get confirmed. The Republicans are controlling the Senate, and that's who's going to confirm him. So he's going to get the votes. You know, I don't think any senators are going to want to go against Trump and his nominees personally, but you know, time will tell, and we will see. And Brian Drombowski with a big old super chat. Thank you so much, Brian, who says, "Hello, hemp haters." Yeah, if you're a hemp hater, make sure you head over to www.parodygummy.com and make sure you secure your bag today. You know what I mean? Any thoughts on this, Jesse?
I don't really have any thoughts on Matt Gaetz, but the DOJ, what's their track record for these prosecutions and stuff right now? It seems like it's pretty poor. Have they even gotten anything right in the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years?
Well, I think they got some things right once Matt Whitaker was in charge of the DOJ, but you know, Andy Barr is in my opinion is a deep state kind of guy, and prior to that we had Jeff Sessions, and Jeff Sessions wasn't really that any good. But Merrick Garland is terrible. AG, I mean, he's totally woke and prosecuting all the wrong things at all the wrong times and all the wrong people for all the wrong reasons and whatnot. And so yeah, like I'm excited for us to actually see some real law and order come back to our country.
There you go.
Fair enough. Well, I'm going to get off of my soapbox. And again, congratulations, Mr. Matt Gaetz. I mean, he's watched the show a few times and, you know what I'm saying, tunes in now and again. I hope he ends up seeing it. I'm going to send him this video. Hope he enjoys it. And congratulations, sir. We are on our way to making America great again. And on that, we are going to roll into our next commercial and be right back.
This plan would make marijuana legal, but would not remove all of the consequences. Explain that for us.
Why are they busting in my door after midnight over something that Illinois says is legal?
Right. We've run into so much cannabis. We've run out of places to put it.
Things are legalized, but it's not legalized completely.
My mini doc on legalization policy in Illinois is available for free streaming now at colememo.com/minidoc.
Yeah, oh man, sorry you guys. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it, you'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover in today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com in just a matter of time.
Are you a business that's suffering from the hyperinflation that is plaguing America today? We have the solution for you. That's right, Patriot Business Financing. Head on over to www.patriotbfc.com and apply for a loan up to $2 million. Any state, any industry, even the cannabis industry, the CBD industry, as well as the industrial hemp fiber industry. Secure up to $2 million today, and make sure that when you apply, you tell Paul you said hi from High at 9.
One quick note. I did forget to mention, I apologize, you guys. Make sure that you help out the Green Party. They are in need of some financial assistance, you guys. It's important that people hear their message and whatnot. They do advocate a lot for the plant, and you can head over to www.jillstein.com to create a contribution to them, as well as the link to their whole policy is in the description of this video as well. And on that, we are going to roll right in to Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and apparently is just speaking as a voice from the heavens today because she can't figure out what's happening with her camera, and we've been trying to work on this to get it.
It's not my camera. It's fucking Discord, an internal bug that's been reported by a bunch of users. So screw you, Discord. Get it together.
And that is why we are working on this new software, so in that way we don't experience and subject to any of these bugs that we are being plagued with by Discord. And with that, we are going to roll right into Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Yay! All right, we're going back to Colorado. This is a quick story, but I just thought that this might be nice to cover because it's out of Pueblo, a little shithole town just south of Colorado Springs. A Pueblo-based cannabis company is facing a hefty fine after a state investigation. The Colorado Attorney General's office announced that Bee's Knees CBDs will pay a $225,000 fine as part of a settlement.
Ouch.
The company was found to have made several false claims on its website, including misrepresenting its products as organic and produced in Colorado. The investigation revealed that these claims were not true, according to the AG's office. The company also failed to implement an age verification system on its website, despite selling hemp products with levels of Delta-9 THC similar to those found in regulated dispensaries. Additionally, Bee's Knees falsely claimed partnerships with several conservation nonprofits. Attorney General Phil Weiser emphasized Colorado's commitment to consumer safety and the oversight of cannabis sales, stating, quote, this case highlights the importance of transparency in the cannabis industry. As part of the settlement, Bee's Knees must comply with state laws, obtain all necessary licenses, and implement age verification on its site. If the company fails to meet these requirements, fines could increase to $495,000. So I definitely am going to be following this one. You guys want to go ahead and make those changes and pay that fine, but it sounds like Bee's Knees is a pretty shitty company. Like, you know, yeah, okay, they screwed up, they screwed up their labeling, that's fine. Lying about saying it's organic and lying about saying that it's made in Colorado are pretty shitty things to do. But the thing that got me is falsely claiming you have partnerships with conservation nonprofits. So saying, hey, buy us, we're giving money to the greater good, and taking the money is a pretty shitty thing to do. So I hope they've taken at least $225,000 of it, because they're going to need that to pay back to the state. I'll throw it back to you guys, but it sounds like these guys are not the Bee's Knees.
Oh, they're not the Bee's Knees. Man, Jenny Beth. Man, $225,000, man. That's a pretty hefty fine.
Yeah, and especially if it increases up to that $495,000.
What?
When you see a fine that big, they're trying to put this company out of business. They're like, you guys are assholes. We can't really make you stop, but we could try.
Man, I wish I could collect the fine. That would be awesome.
This is traditional unfair business practices, though. It goes on around the country. Mm-hmm. And if you produce consumable products, whether it's high fructose corn syrup or CBD or whatever, there are rules to what you can advertise. Mm-hmm. And people that don't pay attention to that are going to get the state in, and the FDA will come in. If you're making claims about products that are provably false, okay, you got some problems. Mm-hmm. And any business that produces a consumable product that claims it does, certain things, you've got to be prepared to prove that, or it's false advertising. And the industry has been slow to recognize that you're a business. You've got to comply with all the business rules in every state and federally too. And they just take this lightly until someone puts a boot up their ass. And this is a boot up their ass right now. You need to see a proctologist to have it removed, or a bigger one's going up there, and they're going to be put out of business. So learn the lesson. Don't lie. Be honest. Tell people what you know, and don't put so much lipstick on the pig where what you're saying is really just a bold-faced lie.
Right. I'm with you, bro.
Pissing up a rope.
Pissing up a rope, literally. Literally. I mean, do you think they ultimately, because we've seen other companies fight unjust fines, you know what I'm saying, from different governments. Do you think they have a case with that on this, Dale?
What's unjust about this, Jason?
It's excessive.
Well, they were operating like they were in the trap market.
Oh, but that's the question. Okay.
I mean,
the Eighth Amendment has been brought to bear against the system. Okay. And I think it needs to be put up there for some scrutiny. Now, is it an excessive fine? It could be. Depends on what they did, what their warnings were. Okay. And the proportion of the fine in comparison to what they actually did. I mean, if we go back, there was a case called Tibbs, several years ago, where they took some guy's BMW for, a small amount of coke in his car. And the court said, no, that's an excessive fine. You can't take a $40,000 car for, $20 worth of coke. That's excessive. That was not a lot of guidance on what to do with these industries that are going into where traditional vice markets. What are we going to do about that? Where's the line for excessive? I don't know, but I'll be watching. I got my popcorn.
Well,
I'm watching.
You know what, Dale? I think anyone can point to excessive fines of anything over $10,000 because ultimately they didn't have someone die in their facility, and Trulieve only got fined $10,000 by OSHA for someone dying in their facility. So I think that's a fair argument that any lawyer could make in court because there's already a case law for that.
Yeah, but that case law may not be precedent in the court you're in. That's the problem, is that if it happens in a state where your court doesn't follow those states' decisions, then that decision, my argument, is irrelevant. Okay, and the court's likely going to say, no, it doesn't get to come into evidence. And that's part of the problem we face. Although all of us like to look around and say that's just not fair, when you get into a courtroom, it's a very artificial environment. You don't get to bring in all the things happening around the country. It's only what's in that state and perhaps in that local jurisdiction. It's very frustrating, but it's the way the law works. And that's why at most things are the Lawyers Full Employment Act. Is you got to bring lawyers in from both sides to have a pissing match over things. The average citizen goes, it's easy to fix. Well, if you bring lawyers into it, now we get it complicated because that's how we make money.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest about it.
I mean, I think they're pretty dead to rights on a couple things, but I think that when it comes to falsely stating that they're dealing with nonprofits and they might want to just go ahead and pay this fine before they get in trouble for things like, nonprofit fraud and shit like that, because that's a little bit, I don't know. They might want to just shut the fuck up, pay the fine, and go find something else to do with their time.
Fair enough.
That would be my advice to them. It's cheap money to pay me to shut the fuck up and write a check and go on. Change your business model. I mean, I've been in marketing meetings where I am the turd in the punch bowl. I tell them, look, you do that, you're going to get your ass in trouble. Stop it. Don't say that. Don't do it. And after that, I put it in writing. I'm telling you, don't do this. After that, it's your problem.
And in cases like this, when you're looking at fines too, I mean, like, how long were they allowed to operate and lie to the public? How much money did they make over that time? Were they making millions of dollars? I mean, if they did,
I think that's fair. That's a fair question, Stone. How much money did they do in revenue during that time period? I think that's a fair question.
Well, if you're going to raise excessive fines, that's going to be some of the metrics you have to prove or disprove in the court. If you make, $1 billion a year and you get fined $200,000, it's like excessive fines. Get the fuck out of here. No, that's not excessive compared to what you're making. But if you're making $500,000 a year and they fine you $200,000, whoa, that's a whole different paradigm.
Yeah, I remember back in cannabis early days, super early days, before even licensing and whatnot. Ken Estes, the father of Granddaddy Perp and whatnot, he had a store in Oakland, and the city of Oakland was trying to close him down, and so they started fining him $500 a day or $5,000 a day, and it's like, who gives a shit about that when he's pulling in $50, $60, $100,000 a day in sales? You know what I mean? Just pay the fine and keep it moving. And Oakland had a hard time closing him down at that place. And you have any thoughts on this, Jesse? Jesse, you with us?
Muted.
Oh, are you on mute, Jesse?
Yeah, I am. I don't know the system yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
I would just echo what Dale said. For any business, as a branding and marketing person, always listen to the lawyers when it comes to your marketing language and what you're doing. And yeah, it does feel like sometimes you're the turd in the punch bowl, huh, Dale? But we need to listen to people like you, because it can literally, obviously, save you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Fair.
Oh, listen to me and then pay my bill. I don't give a shit.
It's just going to rack up more bills if they don't listen to you, Dale. And speaking of that, we got a big old super chat from the Cole Memo. Thank you, Cole Memo. Who says Matt Gaetz is a huge fan of minor cannabinoids. That is pretty funny, Mr. Cole Memo. That is cute. But I will also throw out there in regards with Matt is that, you know, for all you Swifties out there, you know what I mean, you should all be big fans of Matt Gaetz, because he's the one that got into the whole argument when Taylor Swift was getting punked by, I think it was Scooter Braun and her record label and whatnot, of her not being able to perform her songs and whatnot. And so Matt took it upon himself to enter her songs into the congressional record, to which that way they would all be public songs and would be the public's entity as far as the IP on that songs, which allowed her to be able to perform her. So you know what I mean, he is a champion on all of those levels. So let the haters keep on hating. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial and we're going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
We want someone who's going to kick your ass.
Fair. Oh,
Getting
man.
asses kicked.
Speaking of ass kicking, you want to introduce Stone Slade, Jenny Beth?
Yeah, back with a brand new bag, ready to kick some ass from the ATX is Stone Slade, hitting the high road at high at 9.
It's Austin.
Hey.
ATX
Thank you, Jenny.
is fake.
We're gonna take a little trip over to New Mexico for my story. It seems the folks over in Bernalillo County are finally coming to terms with the idea that adults are capable of making their own choices. The county commissioners have taken a step towards allowing some of their employees to consume cannabis off the clock without fear of a pink slip. Imagine that. We're still debating whether adults should be trusted to make their own decisions about what they do at home. The commissioners, by a 4-0 vote, moved forward with a proposal to update the county's drug and alcohol policy. The changes would take cannabis off the illegal drug list, meaning the days of random and pre-employment testing for cannabis might soon be gone for most of the county employees. It'll go up for final vote in December, but this is a significant step. Now, Commissioner Eric Olivas, who has been leading this charge, had to be clear. This doesn't mean that people can show up to work high as a kite. The policy still has a drug and alcohol-free workplace right at the top, which, as Olivas says, remains ironclad. But as it stands now, the county's approach to cannabis is what Olivas called a little squishy. Apparently, some departments and roles are more relaxed about it than others. Firefighters, for example, aren't sure if they can consume cannabis on their off time without risking their jobs. I think it's almost department by department, all of us explained, which sounds a bit like the Wild West. Don Hill, Bernalillo County's senior manager for labor and employee relations, chimed in to clarify that the current policy doesn't outright ban cannabis consumption. The issue is really whether an employee's consumption affects their ability to work safely. He said any misuse of alcohol or cannabis that renders someone unprepared on the job could get them disciplined or even dismissed. Fair enough, right? Over the course, of course, there are some exceptions to this proposed policy. Employees who carry firearms, drive commercial vehicles, or work in federally funded roles are still under Uncle Sam's watchful eye. Cannabis is still federally illegal after all, so while they may be trusted to carry a gun, they're apparently not trusted to make a choice about cannabis in their personal lives. Representatives from the local firefighter union, including Vice President Theodore Ugabaye, and President Miguel Tittman spoke up in favor of the changes. They've been pushing for something like this for 2 legislative sessions, and in a state like New Mexico that legalized cannabis, it's taken this long. As Tittman put it, this is about workers' rights to use a medicine on their off days. Let's be honest, if a firefighter or a person who risks their lives for others wants to consume cannabis to relax at home, who are we to say no? All of us himself was quick to recognize the tough job these folks have. They're taking risks that are tremendous compared to most of us, he said. They're making life-changing decisions in the community. He added, seeing things in their day-to-day lives that most of us will never see. And that's the thing, these people with high stress, high stakes jobs. Maybe we should focus on supporting their mental health rather than worrying about what they do to unwind. Interestingly, the proposal even got the support of the county's only Republican commissioner, Walt Benson. Now, that's worth noting. Benson said he's known many first responders who've struggled with alcohol, and while trying to deal with PTSD, trauma, and pain, for some cannabis could be a healthier choice. Benson believes a substitute that doesn't have the same risks as alcohol. All of us also pointed out that nationally, cannabis legalization isn't a left or right issue anymore. What we've seen in cannabis as it's been legalized throughout the nation with conservative states and liberal states, it doesn't have that divide. He said that, and he's right, cannabis isn't the partisan battleground it used to be, and increasingly about common sense and basic freedoms. So here we are in 2024, we're still debating whether responsible adults should have the freedom to make choices about cannabis at home. Bernalillo County may be catching up to what most people already believe, that people deserve the right to relax or heal or cope in their own way without Big Brother looking over their shoulder. And it's about time we let the people make their own choices and focus on what really matters, how they do their job, not what they do on their off time. I'm Stone Slade reporting for the High at 9 News.
Man, Stone, all I can say after that is weed for the people, bro.
Weed for the people.
Right.
Man, when you said New Mexico, I just knew it was going to be somebody in trouble for some bullshit. But
I thought it's New Mexico.
Yes,
it's the new one.
That's what he said, Jason, as opposed to Old Mexico. Yes. That's right. Old Mexico is located right next to Old Bay.
I mean,
but anyhow, all we've heard coming out of New Mexico is a lot of difficult stories. You know, we had those couple that had the cultivations that were pretty fucking illegal next to their legal ones, and they were enforced for that. We had Cookies fucking up an opening really, really badly, and pictures of minors smoking weed outside their opening with liquor bottles and stuff.
Well, and then we had the CBP seizing goods from licensed businesses.
It wasn't necessarily a licensed business, remember? Like they had licenses and then they were getting fucked up on some stuff. But anyhow, this is, for New Mexico, this is good news.
I think it's...
Well, a lot of this has to do with insurance companies, okay? Because, I mean, I was an insurance defense attorney for decades. I get it. They're looking for ways to not have to pay a claim. Okay? And if you're positive for drugs or alcohol, they have grounds to not pay a claim. That's at the heart of it, and it is just disgusting. So I also represent employers. And if you hire someone who's a janitor and they're scrubbing your toilets and emptying your trash, who gives a fucking rat's ass whether they smoke joints? Who cares? Okay? But if you're in a job where you could hurt yourself or other people, now we have some more difficult questions. And if I'm going to be in favor of any drug testing, it's for cause. Okay, you're operating a machine, you cut somebody's arm off. We might want to find out, are you high as a kite or drunk or whatever, because now you've got to make some corrections. I also represented cops, and I was deep into the law enforcement politics, okay? And they encouraged you to drink. That was their drug of choice. You could not go to a psychiatrist. You could not take a psychotropic. And even though the beat cops didn't give a shit about weed, if you were positive for weed, it destroyed your career. If you were a drunk, they would buy you a six-pack. That's the culture that we are going to have to fight against. And I don't see a reason why a first responder dealing with cortisol driving their life. That's the problem we have. They're on high-stress jobs. When you get off, smoke a joint, whatever. Take an edible to help you sleep. Who gives a shit? The problem is weed stays in your body for weeks, if not months. Okay? Alcohol drains out of it fairly quickly.
3 days.
And they want to compare alcohol and cannabis, and they're just not comparable. You can't. No one wants to think of a new paradigm for what to do with cannabis. They want to compare it to alcohol, and it just doesn't compare. That's a problem with DWI with cannabis, all this stuff. We just need to think outside the box a little bit and stop being so draconian when you find someone smoked weed. You're not flying the plane smoking a joint, okay?
Well, that'd be flying high, Dale. That'd be flying high.
Or flying, you know. I'm a pilot. I get it. You shouldn't be high as a kite when you're trying to land a plane. That's not a good thing, okay? But if I'm at home after work and it's like, dude, I want to relax, and you pass me the pipe, who gives a shit? Why is that affecting you and your business? We just don't want to address and answer those questions.
Fair enough. Any thoughts on this New Mexico market, Jess? No.
You're on mute.
He's shaking his head no. He's shaking his head no. Well, fair.
He was talking, Jason. He was
fucking
mute,
Discord, man. You're right, Jenny Beth. Discord is just not for this application.
Yeah, well, that's where we're going to try out this new software after the show.
I can't wait.
So, yeah.
I'm glad I'm here for it.
Yeah, we are too. We're glad to have you back, Jesse.
Me too, man. It's awesome. You know, the New Mexico thing, this is one of those places where it just falls in it seems like they're pushing it into a gray area. And it seems like everywhere in the country where they push something into a gray area, it doesn't go towards the white, it goes towards the legacy. So it just seems like a risky move to just open it up. I don't know who said Wild West, but it definitely feels Wild West. It feels like you're opening it up to anybody's decision at any time, and then how do you decide who's right? It's just hard. You need a more clear, hard, fast rule here.
Fair enough.
Law requires certainty, Jesse. And there's nothing certain about this.
Exactly.
It's a roll of the dice. And that's just not, I can't counsel people on what to do when everything's a roll of the dice.
Well, what would you say, Dale? You would say, just don't even mess with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't know.
The downside is bad.
Right.
The downside, it could injure business. Okay.
Yep.
No one wants to do that. But somebody's got to look at the employees. Okay. And at some point, your employer does not control your entire life 24/7. At some point, you got to be able to walk away. And I've got a libertarian streak in me. Stop this shit. Leave fucking people alone. What does freedom mean if 24/7 your employer can control your life? You don't have freedom. And that's a real fundamental problem I have about all this. Who gives a shit? Well, the employer can ruin your life. That's who gives a shit.
Freedom isn't free, Dale.
Freedom is not free.
No,
that is
Freedom cost $1.05. Remember that movie?
Yes, indeed. Well,
Team America, World Police. If you haven't seen it, do it.
Oh, I love Team America. It's great. I can see Stone singing Team America all day over there in Austin.
ATX.
In Austin. It's not ATX. It's so ridiculous.
It's the ATX, Jason. You're really gonna have
totally
to
ATX.
It's so ridiculous that people call it that.
It's okay, Jason. This is one of those times where you're just wrong.
Yeah, I'm never wrong. First of all, rule number one. Rule number one is I'm never wrong. Rule number two, if I ever am wrong, refer back to rule number one.
Jason, this is not the hill to die on, buddy.
You know what?
It's okay. The whole audience is hating you right now.
That's cool. They can hate all they want.
It sounds like it's time to keep this party rolling on into Jesse Barney, Jason. Is it?
That's what we were getting ready to do, Jenny Beth.
Oh well. You told me to help co-host today, so I was doing it.
Yep, great job. I appreciate you filling in. You know what I'm saying? And coming back, making his debut back on High at 9 News, it is Jesse Barney. He's the founder of Barney Design Co., a graphic design company that helps companies with branding and all types of amazing things. And he also helped us here at High at 9 News in the very creation of all of High at 9 News. And so, we are so glad to have him back with us, helping us out in all of the technical departments that Jesse is just a master in. And that's right, it is none other than Mr. Jesse Barney. Sorry, Jesse, I don't have any claps.
I don't get to see the...
Sorry, bro. You
failed with that intro. You needed the applause. It was perfect.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Well, when
no applause, just money, Jesse. No applause, just money.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. My story this morning, here's the headline. Joe Rogan says Kamala Harris campaign had a condition to avoid marijuana legalization talk for interview. Surprise, surprise. Rogan had previously said that there were a few restrictions of things Harris didn't want to talk about. Podcast host Joe Rogan suggested during his podcast on Tuesday that Vice President Kamala Harris put a condition on a possible interview with the podcaster about avoiding marijuana legalization talk. He said, they had, I don't know how many different conversations with my folks, but multiple conversations giving different dates, different times, different this, different that. And we knew that she was going to be in Texas, so I said, open invitation. I think they had requirements on things that she didn't want to talk about. She didn't want to talk about marijuana legalization, which I thought was hilarious. The Harris campaign had been in talks with Rogan about doing an interview, but it didn't end up happening. Rogan revealed that Harris wanted him to travel to Washington, D.C. to do the interview and only wanted to do an hour-long sit-down. Rogan's guest, Adrienne, I can't say this last name either, Iapolucci, I think, or La Palucci. No, it's Iapolucci. Asked Rogan why Harris might have wanted to avoid the subject. Because of her prosecuting record, Rogan said, she put a lot of people in jail for weed. During another episode of the podcast on Friday, Rogan also noted that there were conditions the campaign put on the interview. There were a few restrictions of things they didn't want to talk about, but I said, I don't give a get her in here. Like, whatever you want to talk about, he said. Rogan repeatedly expressed interest in interviewing Harris and hoped the VP would sit down with him while she was in Texas. Rogan sat down with President-elect Trump for a 3-hour conversation ahead of the election that earned more than 36 million views on YouTube alone. Rogan also ended up endorsing Trump on the eve of the election day. He told his guest on Tuesday that Harris was a bad candidate. He also suggested the campaign was chaotic and that the vice president wasn't good in unscripted situations. You're telling me. I don't know if she's good at running things because you'd have to be behind the scenes to see how that works. But when it comes to talking off the top of her head, what she's good at is a pre-rehearsed speech that she reads off of a teleprompter. Pretty solid, he said. And that's all there is on that report.
Oh,
so,
man.
My name's Jesse Barty, bringing you this story at High at 9.
Yes. Love this. Welcome.
Love it when Tackles gets put in her place.
Man.
It's all true.
It's all true. I mean,
I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I'm fucking disgusted how they tried to control the message here and let's have an honest conversation. Okay, Let's talk about everything. If anything's got limits on it, I am not in favor of it. Let's find out what you think spontaneously. When you don't want to do that, I'm real suspicious. What are you trying to hide?
Exactly.
She doesn't think anything. She thinks whatever Big Pharma is going to tell her to think. That's what she thinks, and that's why she wasn't going to talk about it. Her record in California and going on is that she does whatever the money tells her to do.
I mean, but at the same time, like she went to all of these other podcasts and talked about cannabis, and how come she didn't want to talk about it with Joe Rogan?
Because it was scripted.
Joe Rogan understands cannabis, and Joe Rogan is at the black vote, and that's what she was trying to pander to when she went on All the Smoke and all these podcasts to try and talk about weed all of a sudden, when she realized she had no support in the black and brown community.
Yeah,
it's also different. It's different when you're doing an hour-long podcast. It's going to be edited, and you can script it, and you can have people in the room and handlers who are telling the interviewer what they can and cannot say. That's a very different thing. Joe was not going to allow that. He was not going to allow any handlers in the room. It was just going to be her and him, and he was going to have a conversation with her like a human being, which I don't think she's ever done.
Well, I mean, they tried doing that with Brett Baer, and she totally bombed that whole thing on the Fox interview.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
she's
you know
horrible.
What I'm talking about. No, I really don't.
Oh, that's funny, Jenny Beth. That's gold.
I mean, like, listen, I just think that this is what happens when you put a crash test dummy with Big Pharma and whoever else's hand up her ass, actually on the spot, and ask her to think for herself.
My big problem with this and the whole story was the cannabis community's overall reaction to her. And
I was shocked.
The weed industry. This is the same thing to me as descheduling versus rescheduling. It blows my mind that there is any section of the cannabis community at all that supports rescheduling. Like, how you get there or how you think that's okay. is mind-blowing to me. And they have huge arguments. They're educated people who should know better. And Harris's stance on cannabis was another of the same thing. She's obviously not pro-cannabis or pro-marijuana. She comes from California and has one of the worst records in California as a politician towards cannabis of anybody. And yet we had a huge portion of the cannabis community that was all up in arms that she's all of a sudden flopped and pro-cannabis. Get out of
you know what, Jesse?
Let me explain that to you, Jesse.
Well, I was going to explain
We are in an industry that is largely populated with fucking idiots. Okay?
No, I get that. Obviously, that's what I'm saying.
So, you know, and
I was saying it in a little more couth way.
Yeah, well, this is why I do what I do. This is why I'm here. I got you, Jesse. You can be the nice guy. I'll be me. The first time I came on this show, I'm like, you guys did your little crying Instagram post. I can't believe we're finally, I've been an advocate for 7 years and I just can't, shut the fuck up. This would have killed our entire industry. The reschedule was a terrible thing. This industry is not capable of voting its own best interest because you guys are fucking kind of stupid. So let's just please do a better job of being educated. I say this with love because I want you to be better. Trust your mean friend because your mean friend believes in you and wants you to be better, okay? So look in the mirror and say, is this me or not? And if there's a post on your social media where you were crying about a reschedule and excited about it, or where you were really thinking that Kamala was going to come be baby Jesus for the cannabis industry, raise your right hand, slap the shit out of yourself with it, and be better.
This is when you say, you are actually high.
Yeah. Well, you know, but
the messaging was bad.
Oh, they're smokers, all right.
What's that deal?
They were trying to push messaging that people just weren't buying. Okay, so let's give you an opportunity. Close the doors, keep everybody in the room. Let's push you on this issue. And she seems like she was afraid to do it.
Deal with the bars.
We can't have fear in this industry. I'm not afraid to tell people rescheduling is an absolute fucking disaster. You have no idea what that's going to mean. You're not going to be able to smoke pot. The products will be very limited. Nobody with a criminal record would ever be able to be in the industry. Stop it. Reschedule it. Treat it like alcohol and tobacco. Give somebody a federal commercial license to move it around. Get the fuck out of their way, take a little bit of tax out of it, and let the states do this. Why can't we have that discussion in real time? And if you think I'm wrong, tell me where I'm wrong. If I think you're full of shit, I'm happy to tell you you're full of shit. Okay,
Dale, why do you think that Democrats and liberal people in general are so easily swayed by this and so easily talked into believing that something like rescheduling or something like Kamala's stance on cannabis is actually good? Where does this actually come from?
Well, it comes from no one in the Democratic Party has the balls to tell these little shits to sit down and shut up, okay? We got bigger problems. So the narrative continues. And when the narrative continues and no one's telling them you're full of shit, people buy into it. No one wants to rock the boat. I'm telling you, I'm a turd in everybody's punch bowl. I'm pissed off that they tried to sell the American people something and they told you, get the fuck out of town. We don't want it. Okay? Now what are you going to do? Stop crying like a baby. Let's sit down and have an honest conversation where everybody gets to say, no, I think you're full of shit. Convince me why you're not full of shit. Let's talk about this honestly. Like I do in my family. My family tells me, Dad, you're full of shit. Okay, why? Let's talk about it. No one seems to want to do that anymore, okay? If I think you're full of shit, the first thing I'm going to tell you is I think you're full of shit. And here's why. If you don't want to have the conversation, I think you're disingenuous.
Your words are hurting me, Dale. Your words hurt.
So I just have
your feelings.
Yeah, right.
You have a First Amendment that says I have a right to hurt your feelings.
That's
if
right.
You're such a fucking snowflake. You can't handle it. Get the fuck away from me, because I am not for snowflakes or Karens or whatever.
That's why. That's why I love to sip liberal tears, Dale.
Gross, Jason.
Yum.
So you're gonna get diarrhea.
No. That makes keeps because I keep them solid.
Come to your house and shit on your floor, Jenny.
Yeah, exactly.
Might as well. The dog already. Do you and Mickey just pile up and take a shit in my nice little living room after the housekeeper's left? Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you though, Jesse. I'll tell you who are the type of people in the cannabis space that support this Schedule 3. It's the MSOs and the stock bros, because when those announcements come out, their stock price goes up. And the MSOs.
So that's what I'm saying.
But hold on. And the MSOs.
That's where the story comes from.
The MSOs also were going to get this big buyout from Big Pharma. You know what I'm saying? So they were excited about Schedule 3.
I get that. That doesn't make any sense. Why are the liberals and the Democrats bowing down to that type of ideology that comes from MSOs and Big Pharma, which Democrats and liberals traditionally were completely against?
I know. The Democratic Party has totally changed.
The liberals become the little bitch of Big Pharma and Big Ag and all of this stuff. Like when I grew up, when I was a kid, Democrats were supposed to be against all that stuff.
Yeah, they're for the blue collar worker, everything, and they have totally shifted their whole.
It's crazy to me, and they don't even see that they've made that switch.
I totally agree with that, Jess. But I will say this on the Kamala Harris thing is, in all fairness, I think us as a community, we have to take a little bit of responsibility for Kamala Harris, because a lot of people, most people don't know. It's pretty much hardly nobody knows this. I have mentioned this story one other time on the show before, but in regards to Kamala Harris, we did not want her as the cannabis community as the district attorney of San Francisco at the time. We had Terrence in there. Terrence was our champion. Terrence was our guy, and we wanted Terrence to remain as the district attorney of San Francisco. And so Willie Brown had other ideas and whatnot, and wasn't a fan of Terrence, and so
and was a fan of the Guac 3000.
That is true. In the backseat of the limousine is a real story, and so but Willie, Terrence investigated Willie because he knew Willie was crooked, and so Willie wanted to get Terrence out of the DA's office, so he propped up Kamala Harris for this, and during that election, one of the reasons, and I don't think Kamala has ever taken this chip off of her shoulder at all whatsoever, and this is probably one of the reasons that she hates cannabis, is because Wayne Justman, who was known in San Francisco as the godfather of cannabis, he was the doorman at 1444 Market Street, which was the first dispensary in the country, even prior to Prop 215 passing in 1994. The Justice
the patient one.
Yep. The Justice Department called that dispensary a 5-story felony back then, 1444 Market Street. And Wayne was my political consigliere. That's where I learned a lot of my political know-how in regards with working with the work that we did within San Francisco. That's where it actually really started. But Wayne filed the ethics complaint against Kamala Harris during the election, and I know still to this day she is still bitter about that.
Well,
shout out to Wayne Justman, man. Wayne Justman's the man.
Yes,
he's my guy. Yep.
100%. Much love, Wayne.
She's got a lot of things to be bitter about. I'm sure Willie, 60-something-year-old wiener didn't taste so hot, but only so far that's gonna get you, I guess.
Man, well,
hey, when you've had 1,000 hot dogs for lunch, what's one more stinky one?
First man!
Of all, don't you dare! I love hot dogs. Don't you
she loves a glizzy. She loves a glizzy.
I do love a good glizzy. Don't you dare!
I'm not talking about those kind of hot dogs.
And shout out to
Filled wiener.
Shout out to Brian Dombrowski again in the chat, who says, "Guess who's back? That's right, Jesse's back. So welcome back, Jesse. This is great. Yes.
You need to sing that, Jason. It's like Eminem. It's like Eminem. Can you do it?
Well, we already had Dale dropping a couple bars in his last time he was talking, so you know what I mean. I didn't think you guys wanted me to sound.
You didn't want it.
I didn't want to sound like a boy band, because that's the only way to say that is sound like a boy band.
It's not a fucking sausage party. I'm here. I'm just here in spirit. Honest days. It's okay. Guess what, Jason? Are we at the end of the show, or are you next?
No. I think we're pretty much done. Do you have anything you want to say, Stone?
I mean, not really. Well, yeah, I think just on the Kamala and the Joe Rogan thing, like, I think it was a total mistake not to take that opportunity. I don't think it would have helped her in the end, but back in 2016, Hillary Clinton turned down Howard Stern. I think that would have been good for her. I don't think it would have helped her, but I was a little upset when Kamala went on Howard Stern and he kind of softballed her. I would have enjoyed the Rogan experience.
Yeah, me too. But she's not built to handle like real questions.
Anything.
I guess. Only wants to go where everything's staged.
All right.
But whatever.
Well,
whatever.
It's time to leave the stage today, Jason. You guys, we've reached the end of our show. Thank you so much for all of our listeners, our sponsors, Catalyst for keeping the lights on, Weed for the People. We want to thank Parody Gummy, Jason Beck for bringing us together, Jesse Barney for coming back, and all you guys for clicking in and tuning in every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. high noon on the East Coast. Hope that's enough to put in your pipe and smoke till tomorrow.
And then you got to close with, because we are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.